And good afternoon for Europeans, good night for Antipodeans, and good morning to Americans. Hello, Sharon, how are you?
I'm good this morning. Happy Friday.
Yeah, it is Friday. My God, this week feels like it's been a year.
I bet. I
Um,
bet.
yeah, it's been a rough time, but you know, it's um, it's been really interesting to deal with. We live in a world where we are pushing knowledge and information about grief and how to deal with it out in the world. And that is what this playlist's about. And you work in the grief world. And we've said it before, we're not immune to grief coming in and kicking our asses, are we?
No, we're not. It's something that we can't avoid, actually, even though we try.
Right. So today, after being running to and from hospitals, today my wife and I took out 3 hours and we went for a walk. And it was, it's not the Highlands, but it's Scotland, and it's beautiful. And there's the loch, and you're just walking out, and it's 2 or 3 degrees, but the sun's out, and it's beautiful, and you get your heart rate up. And there's, I'm now back in after that and just feeling so much better. And there's that, it's that physical thing, isn't it? Which is this whole second, the whole part 3 of the course. I mean, why do you think the physical aspect is so important?
Well, I think because it's the thing that we avoid the most, right? I mean, we're focused on our emotions, even though we're avoiding our emotions, but we think grief is only about the emotions of being sad or angry or fearful or worried or whatever. And so we tend to get caught up in that. Or we avoid it. And what happens is our body holds on to all that, negative energy. And it's like I say, it's like a kettle, right? It's a kettle that's boiling and boiling and boiling because there's no release. And eventually you end up exploding. And a lot of times, if it isn't emotionally, it's definitely physically, right? And your body just can't take it because it's held on to that grief for so long that it's giving you a message like you got to do something, you got to stop, even if it's doing something as simple as you did and going outside and getting that fresh air and just sort of replenishing how you're feeling. It's so important.
So, because I'm super intrigued about this, because it is this. You're a scientist. I come from a science background, and there is the Reiki thing, and there's this. So you use the phrase, your body holds onto grief. What is it? How does that manifest? I mean, how do you explain? How does a body know that it holds onto grief?
Well, again, it goes back to the belief that everything is energy, right? Quantum physics, and that our body's made up of energy. And then what happens is, when you're feeling healthy and when things are going well, the energy in your body is flowing well, which is why you feel good, right? You're bringing energy in through food or through the atmosphere or through being out in nature. But when you're grieving, you kind of shut all those mechanisms down and the energy just gets stuck, right? It's not flowing through your body. And
I know that to be true, and I have felt that.
Yes, absolutely.
The explanation is that the energy flows?
The energy flows through our body, and that our body, we have 7 energy centers in our body, and that if the energy gets stuck, and because grief is an emotion that depletes your energy, specifically in your heart, when the energy gets stuck, nothing else moves. And so your body's not working in unison. In fact, they say that you experience dis-ease, right? Or disease, because your body is not moving the energy in a healthy way. And grief is a negative emotion sometimes, and so it shuts it down. And when your heart shuts down and when the energy gets stuck there, all kinds of things start to happen. I've talked about having chest pains myself. People who are grieving tend to have bronchitis, lung-associated diseases, pneumonia, chest pains, that kind of thing, because that's exactly where the grief sits, and that's normally in your heart. So, when everything does shut down like that, it's very difficult for your body to function in a healthy way unless you're doing things to replenish the energy and stay healthy. And we don't do that for some reason when we're grieving. We just kind of shut everything down, and we don't eat right, and we don't sleep right, and we don't do all of these things that it's so difficult to do when you're grieving.
So even if I fundamentally don't believe in energy healing, if I fundamentally think Reiki is a frou-frou thing that's, just California and, craziness. And by the way, my wife is a level 2 Reiki healer, so, I'm not coming from this from a malicious.
No, I understand.
If I think this is nonsense, is there still, if I chose to do part 3 of this course, what are the things that I'm going to learn that will help me? What is there for me?
Well, I think part of it is just self-care. Whether there's Reiki or energy involved or not, you're grieving and you're tired, right? Because you're not sleeping or you're not eating right. And so your body needs sleep and your body needs food. And so what are some of the simple things that you can do? So we talk about daily self-care practices that are not Reiki based, that are, just good, healthy living. And it's hard to remember that when you're grieving. So finding those simple practices like, stretching exercises to relieve the tension in your muscles, right? Because, I know, but I don't know about you, but my neck and shoulders, when I'm stressed, it's like it all goes there. Very simple, right? Clenching your jaw, very simple stretching exercises. Very simple eating techniques. What foods should you eat? What foods should you avoid, right? Because we all know if you hype yourself up on caffeine or whatever, energy drinks, that's not good. So what kind of food should I eat? So we talk a lot about that. We talk about, ways to improve your sleeping habits. I don't sleep when I'm grieving. I don't sleep well anyway, but I don't sleep. And, what can I do before I go to sleep to make sure that I get at least a few good hours of sleep? So we talk about, improving sleep habits and things like that. So very simple, healthy living kinds of self-care is important.
I think there's a lot of, I work with a number of different people and in different areas, but the power of intent, the power of, setting an intention or recognizing where you are and what you're doing seems to me to be massive. And I think one of the things that I'm learning as I chat with you through this process is the whole point of doing this course. It's going to be people who recognize that they want to change, isn't it? They recognize that they're in a shit situation or things aren't great and they need to change.
Right.
And I think half the battle, it seems to me, is recognizing that and then setting the intent. And once they're there, then they're ready to hear what you have to say. Would that?
You're absolutely right. I went for years pushing and pushing myself and working and not sleeping and not eating right to the point, like I've said, where I really literally thought I was going to fall down from a heart attack. And I think at that point, my body was saying, listen, you can't live like this anymore. You need to step back. And so, knowing that there are very simple things that you can do to really get you through this in one piece, but you have to be ready. Not everybody's ready. And I think a lot of times your body tells you you're ready, right? Because it can't take it anymore because you've gone too far in your grief or you've not addressed your grief to the point where, it's just not going to work. So you have to do something. And that's where you've got to find those things that are going to help.
I love the insight. You're right. It's often your body that tells you.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
We've done, part 1 of this course is the introduction, the overview, the introduction to the basic concepts. And, that's free, 75 minutes. Doing that itself doesn't cost you anything but your time. Is well worth doing. Part 2 that we talked about last week is the emotional aspect. Mm-hmm. This week we've talked about the physical aspect, which is it's the one that often indicates. But next week is the spiritual aspect. So give us a little insight into that.
Yeah, the spiritual aspect, and this is not a religious based part of the course at all. It's really about your spiritual beliefs, because a lot of times when you've gone through loss, especially when someone close to you has died, your whole spiritual belief system can either go out the window or it can be magnified, right? You know, I don't believe in God anymore. Why would God do this? Or why would the universe do this to me? So I think understanding and being in touch with the spiritual awareness that you have is really, really important. And that can happen in a variety of different ways. And we talk about that, and we talk about some of the tools as well that you can use.
So if I'm a Buddhist, does it
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I think it's universal, right? It's universal, no matter what your beliefs are. You know, signs and messages from your loved ones, intuition. There's all different kinds of things that can bring that spiritual awareness to the forefront, and it can actually help you to heal in ways that you would never imagine.
That's the bit that excites me. That's the bit that, you know, I look at the esoteric arts and have studied and you know, dipped my toe in quite a few. That there is that, it's magic, you know, the opportunity for, oh my God, amazing stuff can happen. Have you experienced that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I talk about my dad. I mean, I've had a lot of experiences. I have a grief group, and we meet on Thursday nights, and last night we were all talking about messages and signs that we had gotten from our loved ones. But my dad is so busy on the other side. I mean, he is constantly sending, you know, butterflies and music and, you know, just reminders that he's okay. And I think, you know, our physical relationship ends with somebody when they die, but our spiritual and emotional relationship continues. And I say, especially after my best friend Joy died, that the spiritual signs that she sent me, like smelling her perfume and things like that, it saved me in so many ways, because I thought, you know what, she's still here. You know, I'm a Catholic, and I'm like, where is she? She died by suicide. Is she in limbo? You know, where does she go? And she was reminding me constantly, you know, I'm here with you. And it was so comforting that I wasn't fearful and worried. And it really catapulted me, I guess, into a different space with my grief. And it brought me to a place of peace, which I never thought I would have. So the spiritual component is very important, I think, for most people. And we don't talk about it enough.
I'm super interested to talk about it next week, because, you know, just to finish, I mean, I am very much the scientific black box. My wife is very much, you know, the open to it, and she's very open to signs and messages. And I, in the past, have been very dismissive of, well, it's an internal subjective mental construct, and you're doing it. But, you know, it's the placebo thing. Who cares? Because whatever it is, and I guess we don't know until we're off the planet, if it works, if it's bringing joy and peace and healing, and that's reflected in emotion and stuff, you know, I'm all for it.
Exactly.
All right, that was one hell of a week. Next week we're back. We're going to do another 3 sessions, and that'll wrap it up, and then we'll see where we are. But go check out the course. We've had a steady stream of people coming through. You know, this has been really good. And yeah, let's rest this weekend.
You need to rest, definitely. Take care of yourself and go experience some more beautiful walks.
Yes, and maybe some nice space-side malts.
A few pubs too along the way. Have one for me.
I might have to. Sharon,
Okay.
have a great weekend. Everybody, you can check out part 1 of the course. Check it out. It's super cool. It's making a difference to other people. Maybe it's the perfect thing for you. And we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.
You too. Thanks.